Global Tel Link, you have a collect call from
PERRIE.
an inmate at the California State Prison, Los Angeles County, Lancaster, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
When I walked away from that conversation, he made it clear to me, look, all that going hard, you're going to end up like me. You're going to be sitting here old, fragile, family dead, and you're going to be looking for answers, and there ain't going to be no answers. The only answers is you're going to die in this place.
Portia?
It really puts that idea into perspective. Like we talk about it all the time. It's just you realize you really do only have one life to live. And every little decision you make culminates to the end of that life. So it's like, at what point do you realize that this one action is not worth it? Because you only have one life. You only live once. And people take that, YOLO idea and they run with it and say, yeah, you only live once. So I'm going to do this crazy thing because you only live once. Like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do with that idea. You have to realize that you only live once, meaning make the right choices. Understand that in the future, will this moment be worth it? When you're on your deathbed, will this moment be worth it? And I love the fact that you paint that picture in the book. Like from the first page, like when you read the acknowledgments, from the first page all the way to the last page, you realize that that's what it's about. And that's what had me messed up, because I was reading it thinking that, okay, this is going to be about why you shouldn't join the gang. But it wasn't about that. It was so much bigger, and I was not prepared for that. Like, I don't usually get emotional, but this is one of those books that kind of made me emotional, because I realized it was like, it's not just about gang life. It's not just about prison. It's about life in general. You only have one life. And so at some point you think, these small things should matter, right? Like little small moments where you if you're upset or you make a big deal out of it, you realize like, nah, this is the only life I have. So I have to make the most out of it. And like, that's what I was getting from the first page. And I'm like, yeah, for y'all young people out there who want to join gangs and stuff, but even for people who are trying to make decisions in their life, if you're a teen who's thinking about going to college because your parents told you should go to college, you realize you only have one life. So if you spend 20 plus years going through some sort of program or whatever, taking care of whatever business that your parents told you should take care of, if that's not what you want to do, don't do it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just crazy. Perry, I want you to tell me though, I know what I took from the book, but what do you want your readers to take from your book?
Well, I want my readers to take from my book partly, mainly what you said. What's the end game? What is the big picture of joining the gang for the young people out there? We join these gangs and we became what I call famous nobodies. We think we're someone in a neighborhood, but in all actuality, we're destroying ourselves. We're destroying our community. We're destroying our brothers and sisters that's younger, that's looking up to us. And at the end, none of it means anything. You can become the biggest thug, gangbanger, gangster, whatever you want to call it. And in the end, it's not gonna mean anything. And when you sit in these prisons, you're gonna understand. And that's one of the things that helped me come up with this book. It was one day, me and a few of the guys were sitting at the table. We all had our legal work out. We were all trying to figure out how to get out of jail. And I said, that's crazy how we out there, big gangbangers trying to be all hard.
Right.
Now we in here in these law books praying we find a loophole to get up out of here. And it's like, what you was going hard for? You went hard, now you in here sticking, now you trying to get out. And that's what I try. Like, I don't know nobody. I haven't, like, I hear there's prisoners in here who's cool with it, but I ain't never met them. I ain't never met nobody in prison that don't want to get out of here, that don't regret why they came to jail. And that's my message, that if you join the gang, in the end, point blank period, you're gonna fail. I don't care how long it lasted. I don't care how much money you got out of it, how fun it was. it's gonna go bad in the end, and I'm living proof right now.
Mm.
You know, that actually brings me to an interesting point from a psychological standpoint, what you just said, that you guys, y'all was going hard gang banging, but on the other end, y'all trying to get out of jail. And what that term is called in the psychology world is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance basically means when my actions and my thought process don't go together. I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm a cigarette smoker, but I'm out here saying, yo, cigarettes is bad for you. That don't make sense, does it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
How do I smoke cigarettes, but I am saying and knowing and believing that cigarettes is bad for me? You understand? It doesn't connect. You know what I'm saying? It's a psychological flaw. And so my question to you is, what would you tell? Because there's a lot of young dudes, men and women. Of course, nobody wants to go to jail. Nobody verbalizes, hey, I want to. Some probably do. But I would say the majority of people don't want to go to jail. Maybe some do that want to earn some stripes. But nobody want to be doing 25 to life. Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
Right? No one wants that, right? So let's say the dude or the female that's out here committing these crimes and you know, causing havoc on the community and other people, you know what I'm saying? But thinks that he's or she is not going to prison, you know what I'm saying, and doesn't know what to look forward to when they go to prison. What happens? What's going to happen when that 18, 20-year-old get locked up and go to prison? What does he or she have to look forward to when they go to jail, Perry? Please let them know.
Well, they got a lot of lonely nights. They got a lot of stress, depression,
Right.
a lot of metal and concrete.
Think about it. What's about the feasibility of violence?
Oh yeah, that's and it's crazy you say that though, that the violent part never just came up right now because
it's so regular, right?
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Violence is always thriving in prison.
Right.
And if you gang banging and you come into prison, county jails, whatever, you know, I talked about that in the book. Your life is constantly in danger, and you're on the hook. And what I mean by on the hook is, you know, you're young, fresh in prison. Oh yeah, it's time for you to put in some work. Here go this knife. You're gonna go over there and stab him. But I only got 2 years left. We don't care about none of that.
Wow.
So you go over here and stab him, and you better hope that the DA don't pick the case up.
Oh my God. It's funny that you say that though, because in the book you talk about, this is what was surprising to me. You talk about the fact that being in a gang is not a brotherhood. And that's what, you know, we're made to believe. You think, okay, I'm gonna join this gang because it's a brotherhood, it's a family. We may not be blood, but it's a family that I don't have at home. So that's why people join. But then you talk about how that's not true. It's all a myth.
It's a great myth, you know, and I still see it to this day, like even in prison, like my I'm gonna say this, the people from my neighborhood are the people that I least probably used to get along with. And that's crazy. You know, the people from all over, people who I consider my enemies have become, you know, closer to them than I am with some of the guys who was from the neighborhood. And that just goes to show that, you know, this whole join the gang is my brothers, they love me, they care for me. That's nonsense, especially after you start to understand the gangs and the cultures, and nobody who's participating in this type of culture is even, to me, in a mind frame where they could be a loving brother or any of that type of stuff, because of what we're doing. You can't tell me that you love me and you're my brother and you care for me and then say, hey, look, go over here and shoot this dude.
Right.
That's not a brotherhood.
Right. It doesn't relate. That's true. That's very true.
And, you know, I've seen, you know, I'm born and raised basically in the gang. I've seen so much, man, like some of the most gruesome things and messed up stuff that I've seen happen has been members of the same gang on each other. You know, and coming to prison, like I talked about this in the book too, come to prison and your rivals are now your friends. Why? Because the racism in here, you know, we can't be beefing with each other in here and the other
Right.
races at the same time. So if, you know, I'm a Crip, you're a Blood, we're friends now in prison. And if you see another race attacking me, you better get in it. And if you don't, that's gonna be your problem. Ain't no, oh, he's my enemy on the streets. No. Y'all are part of the same gang now. And you know, when you live in them conditions for so long, like before I came to prison, those conditions been going on. So when I land in prison, I see all kumbaya. I see everybody, you know, rival gang members sitting at tables and chilling and laughing and playing cards.
And you can understand that.
Yeah, it was stunning to me. Like, man, what is this? And that's when, you know, them type of moments, it all start coming to the big picture. Like, man, I done threw my life away for some crap. This don't even make sense.
Nope.
We out here beefing with these dudes. I'm talking about hardcore. We going back and forth, killing each other. And you gonna tell me we gonna come to prison and sit around a table and eat? This is, I can't be a part of this. And I need to tell our youth about this. I need them to know, yeah, you out there going hard. When you come to prison, you're gonna be your brothers, and he might save you. He might save you in a riot or something.
What makes striving to be a failure special to me was the fact that at the end of every chapter, you have this questionnaire that kind of forces the readers to reflect on what's happening, like what they read, but they reflect on their own lives. I think that's what caught me off guard. What made me, you know, really see how your story pertained to my life, like how they relate. It was because of those questions. Those questions. I don't know why it kind of made me mad. Like,
yeah.
These questions, but I did, and I was like answering these questions and just like kind of reformulating them to pertain to my life. But it was like, I think that's what makes this book so special and what's so important. It's like, because you're not just reading the story, you know, you don't just find out the information you need to find out or find out about Perrie's life. Like, nah, it's not. That's just the beginning. The inside, what makes it really deep is the fact that you now have to ask yourself these questions and answer it and really put your life in perspective. And that is difficult. That is difficult for people to do.
Probably the most difficult thing you can do in life.
Yes, and that idea came from the prison system. And, you know, some people thought I was just doing it just to, when I say thank you to the CDCR, for the tools that they provided me with. Some of the brothers in here thought I just put that in there for brownie points, but it's actually factual. You know, these, you know, they've taught me stuff, and those questions are, some of the questions came from groups I participated in here. And I learned a lot about myself from type of questions that I asked. And I told myself when I was writing the book, I didn't want them to just blow past it because I knew the book was going to be short. I needed a way to make them think about each chapter, make them think about, you know, the decisions that they're making in regards to joining the gang. So with that, that's when I decided to, you know, insert questions at the end of the chapter to, you know, get them to really think about, you know, what you're doing, because that's, you know, them questions, I never thought about any of them questions before I joined the gang or when I was in the gang. I never thought about any of those questions. And, you know, I hope a youth get that book and those questions, you know, provoke a thought that, you know, make him like, you know, this ain't the life I want to be a part of.
Perrie, you know, I was just thinking while you talking, it's like the book is so profound for one fundamental reason for me, man. You, a person, any person. That's why I said this book is not just for a person that's even thinking about going to a gang or whatever. This book can be put in context for, let's say, the college person that's thinking about joining that fraternity or sorority, right? This book can be put in that same context. This book can be put in the context of a person that, you know, is like, they work in a 9-to-5, but they know they have this dream of running their own business. You understand? This book can be put in that same context because you're asking yourself that fundamental question: what am I willing to do to fail or succeed? That's the fundamental question in life. What am I willing to do? because the title is self-explanatory.
It
And
really
a lot
is.
of us, isn't it? And a
Yeah.
lot of us not. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. It's not just the young people. We got people our ages that's striving for failure on a daily basis. Why? Because they are so used to their habits. They're so used to their surroundings. They're so used to what mommy, daddy, or their cousin, their brother told them. This is the way you're supposed to live. You understand? So me, myself, I'm actually coming out with my next book called Habitual Habitat. Will be out very soon. And that's what my book actually talks about. You know what I'm saying? So in my book, Habitual Habitat, I have put this Strive for Failure book as a recommended reading because I really feel that my book, Habitual Habitat, and Striving for Failure goes hand in hand. You understand? Because that's how you strive for failure. This is how you strive for success. Why? It's based on your habits. That's all it is. It's based on what am I accustomed to doing? How am I accustomed to thinking? You know what I mean? Who am I accustomed to being around? You understand? It can make you fail or succeed. You know what I'm saying? But you as a person, and I'm glad you came out with this book, and I'm glad you going. I'm telling you, you're gonna be a poster boy for this movement where you're gonna get these young cats, men and women, to start asking themselves these fundamental questions early in life. Because I know people that's 40 that haven't began to ask this question. So if that 16-year-old, that 17-year-old could pick up this book and say, damn, you know what I mean? Why do I have that attitude? Why do I tend to act like that when certain people come around me? You understand? If they can start asking these questions, then man, by the time they get their 2021, you know what I mean? They can actually do the teaching. You understand?
Yeah.
As opposed to having to go to prison, you know what I mean, to start doing the teaching. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So yo,
I agree.
no problem. Yo, and it was one example I just want to give up. I don't want to give up the whole book because I want people to go cop this joint. It's real. When you spoke of the gang member that goes to jail and he or she goes into a particular house that's housed by an opposing gang, what's that like? What's that whole scenario?
Man, that is disturbing. See, me personally, I never had to experience that because I was from a larger gang that there wasn't a chance likely for me to end up somewhere where none of my homies were at. So, but I know plenty of people that, arrive in dorms and, that is terrifying.
I can't imagine it.
You walk into a dorm full of dudes who, none of these dudes are like people who've been in prison, that's rehabilitated. Most of these dudes just came to prison. They still with the rah-rah. And some of them are in here probably for doing something to your homies. You probably in here for doing something to their homies. And you walk in that dorm and there's 40 of them. You gotta go in there. And when you go in there, you might have some OGs in there that say, you know what, we gonna give you fair fights, but you gonna fight all of us though. We might take 2-3 days, but you gonna fight all of us in here though. But then you might have some that say, we ain't gonna even let you stay in here, so all 40 of us just gonna rush you and get you up out of here. Because we don't want you in our dorm, and that is to me, I used to hear about some guys refusing to go in a dorm, and back then I used to be like, I don't want to go in a dorm,
Right.
But I'm talking from the sideline because I've never been in that predicament.
Right. Right.
But now that I'm, older, my mind is no longer just as simple as it used to be. Right. Now I understand how, big that was for the individual that was in that situation. It's like it's a lose-lose. You got to go in here and get probably killed. And if you refuse to go in here, when the homies find out, they probably gonna get you. So it's like, well, ain't no probably, they're gonna get you.